Welcome to Worthy the Podcast, where we have conversations about what it means to feel worthy and what happens when we don't. I'm your host, Jessica Raimondi. Welcome back to Worthy, guys. I'm so excited to be sitting down with this gorgeous woman. Her name is Nicole Rodriguez. So Nicole is a yoga teacher at Ahana Yoga here in Miami, and she also is a luxury realtor handling in-house sales for HQ Residences, which is a new wellness and balance brand development.
It's a new development coming to Edgewater with a really big wellness backbone, which I love.
That sounds like right up your alley.
Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah,
it's very on brand.
You're making it a little bit. Yeah, there you go. Perfect.
It's very on brand.
Awesome. I love that. I'm so happy for you, and I'm so happy you were able to do this.
Yeah, I'm really excited
Thank
about
you.
it. Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Yeah, for sure. We met a few years ago. I was
It's been a while already, like 3-4 years.
I think, yeah. So we met when I was managing Ahana, the studio that was your home studio, and I was teaching there, and I had the pleasure of watching you teach and assisting you when I was working there, taking your class, and you are incredible as a teacher. You have, you really got it, girl,
Thank you.
but mostly like you're so inspiring. You're so authentic. And just, you speak from the heart. You talk to your students just like they're your friends.
Yes,
and
they are.
Yeah. And no wonder her classes are packed. So good luck getting in, but it is worth it. And, I just was always like, I always admired you and just thought you were so cool.
I felt the same way about you, which is awesome. It's actually really cool. I was so nervous to be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher. And Dawn, the owner of the studio, kind of was like, Nikki, like she saw something in me that I had no idea of.
I can't even imagine you being weirded out by being a teacher.
Oh my God, I was horrified. And now it's like, I can't even imagine my life not being a teacher. So I'm so happy that I'm a teacher, that I'm a student.
Yeah, you're one of those people like, we need you. You know what I mean? For sure. And you do this like as a side hustle, which is kind of crazy, but it's also probably fed your purpose, I'm sure.
Honestly, I mean, it's never been for any sort of financial gain. Mm-hmm. It's always been just a way
more for
I know. I mean,
we wish we made more money.
As much money as I make selling real estate, teaching yoga, I wouldn't be selling real estate. But to me, it fills my cup and it gives me purpose and it allows me. I mean, I suffered so much and I went through all this pain that to me, it's like, it's made it so beautiful. It's made it all worthwhile. So I'm honored. I landed here. Yeah.
Well, let's start with yoga then, because that's our common ground. So you've been teaching for how long?
I've been teaching since 2021.
Awesome.
So 5 years teaching yoga, 7 years practicing.
Wow. Okay. And so what is your yoga story? Like, how did you find it? We
good.
all have one.
So I was an addict from 13 to 33. So I was 20 years really deep into Miami is crazy, man. Like you're a native,
right?
Yeah. So, born and raised. And I started doing like hard drugs at 13, which is interesting. Everyone always says like marijuana is the gateway drug. It was the total opposite for me. That came like a long time later.
I think alcohol is more the gateway drug than anything.
It is. So I was addicted to alcohol. I was addicted to cocaine, and I was spiraling really fast in the wrong direction. And my best friend, my sister, my savior, Rebecca, actually told me, she said, listen, if you don't get your shit together and start coming with me to yoga, I'm not going to be your friend anymore because you're a hot mess. I can't bring you around my kids. I mean, my son, like it was just like, it wasn't on brand anymore to be around me. I was such a disaster. Mm-hmm. So I said, fine, when do you want to go to yoga? And she was like, Fridays at 7 p.m. And I was like, well, the problem
Interesting time.
That's my happy hour time. And she was like, well, that's the problem. You got to stop going to happy hour. It's not serving you. And I was like, you know what? Fine, I'll go with you. I figured I would go once and never go again. And then I went and I took the class, and the teacher, I'll never forget, like played hip hop and played Biggie and like said like all these like Miami rough house things. And I was like, I could do this. Like, this is kind of cool. So I started going to yoga on Friday nights.
Oh my gosh.
And then that meant that I didn't get wasted on Friday night. So I started enjoying my Saturday mornings. And I realized that there's farmers markets and there's people walking the streets. And like, you don't have to be, up doing horrible things at that time.
Being jealous of those people that are up doing things.
I didn't even realize any of that was going on in my city. I'd been partying for so long. And it just opened up this whole world to me, and I was like, okay. And it took me a while to get sober. So I would go to yoga and then I would relapse and then I'd miss yoga and
But you
stuff.
kind of used that as your, almost like as an outpatient.
Well, when you're an addict,
Yeah.
I'm an addict.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be addicted to something. And I became addicted to yoga. So it shifted everything else. And I was able to zero in on that. And I was nuts. I was doing 4 or 5 yoga classes a day.
Hot yoga classes.
It was
hot.
insane. It was insane, but it was like a purge. It literally purified this demon that lived inside of me.
Oh my God, of course.
And then, I met Dawn, and Dawn is also in recovery. So she was like a role model for me. I saw her and I said, wow, if this lady can do it and still be crazy and still be herself and still be authentic, then I can do it too, and I was like, cool, and that was when I realized that I could be myself, because I had spent 20 years living like a double life,
I totally know.
Yeah.
Yes, I totally know. I've suffered with addiction through my life too. And I find it's a part of the reason actually I wanted to do this podcast is because I'm in Al-Anon. I've been in Al-Anon for a really long time. And it when I started to kind of come around, clean my act up in different ways. Yeah, same thing. You start to wake up to this new new language, right?
It was like colors were brighter.
Totally. And I also feel like you take away these things that we were using, right? And then you realize there's something inside of us, right? That was just not being tended to.
And I had no idea. No one had ever, I come from a Cuban family, and in Latin culture, for the most part, there's no therapy, there's no talking about feelings, there's no crying. That's not a thing.
That's not expressing emotion.
Yeah, it's really it's not a thing, and I never really realized that I could, number one, that I had issues, or number two, that I could talk about them, and much less heal them and put them down.
Oh yeah,
that was very foreign to me, and I've spent the last 7 years of my life doing that, and it's works out for me pretty well.
That's incredible. Yeah. No, I know. And so so what do you think about this idea that that addiction can be like a symptom, right, of something that's going on? Because again, back to the even my experience with this podcast coming to life was I feel like I was detached from my own self-worth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Did you struggle with your worth?
Absolutely. I didn't even realize that I had worth or value until I sort of snapped out of it. But it's interesting because a lot of times people will say addiction is a disease, right?
Yeah.
And to me, the way that I feel about it is addiction to me is a manifestation of unhealed things happening in your body and not having an outlet and needing to numb them, right?
Yeah.
So to me, it's imagine if you have all this rotten food in your refrigerator and it's just in there, festering and festering and festering. That to me is what addiction is. So to me, when I started to clean out the fridge and I started to throw out the stuff and go through the junk, then it was hello.
And then other things come in, right? You were saying, and it's I would whether you find God, whether you find your higher power, spiritual. I found my spirituality. That's when that happened. And I think yoga was right on top of that for me as well.
Yeah, well, yoga taught me, number one, first and foremost, that I wasn't my thoughts, because I always was just I'm this little victim in this crazy head with these crazy voices saying crazy things. And I had never realized that I could detach from that and that I could hover above that. So the second that I hovered above it, I was oh, this is a shit show and we need to wipe it out. But it was no longer me. It was something that I was watching happen. I took my seat as an observer, and that was a game changer. It continues to be a game changer.
And that's the
things get thick.
Yeah.
Just sit your ass down. I tell myself all the time.
Yeah.
Sit down.
Do you so when in your own practice, what do you do as far as yoga? How is your yoga journey?
Sure. So I started with asana. I started with the asana practice, and then very quickly I started to learn about yoga philosophy, which led me to japa meditation. And japa meditation, which in essence is repetitive chanting of sacred mantras, has exponentially changed everything.
Okay,
Like
tell me how.
everything. It's insane because I remember my teacher, my dear friend, he's one of my best friends. He said, "Listen, if you have so much anxiety and you're really struggling to get sober, why don't you try japa?" And I was like, "Okay, what's japa?" And then he was like, "You got to sit down and you have to say the Maha Mantra over and over and over again." And I laughed at him. Like I was like, me?
Yeah, I'm like, I
Me?
have
Yeah,
ADHD.
yeah,
I'll be
me
like,
to
yeah.
sit down and you want me to speak in another language? Like, no, not gonna happen.
Mhm.
And then I remember a few weeks passed and he was like, "How are you feeling?" And I was like, "I'm a mess. I'm depressed and I'm anxious." And he's like, "Okay, well, I already told you what medicine to take and you're choosing not to take it. So now this is a choice. You're choosing to be in this
Well, that's
state,
how it
you
goes,
know?"
though. We have to get
And
sick
I
of being
said,
sick, you know.
I was like, I'm such a smartass. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do the fucking meditation just to be like, it doesn't work. That was my intention.
Like, sorry,
Just
not
to
for
like
me.
throw it
Yeah,
back
yeah,
at
yeah.
him, you know? And then I said, you know what? I'm going to do it for 10 minutes a day for 30 days and let's see what happens. At the end of those 30 days, I hadn't drank, had no desire to drink, hadn't had a craving for a glass of wine, which I used to drink
Yeah.
bottles a night.
Hmm.
And I felt so calm. Like it was terrifying me because I'd never felt calmness before.
Yep.
So I was like, whoa, what is this? You know? And then I was like, okay, maybe there's a little magic here.
It's interesting that you talk about the calmness because I think for people that struggle with addiction or trauma that's not tended to
Yeah.
or healed, I think calmness feels terrifying.
Well, yeah, because chaos was my normal
My home
state
yeah,
of being.
of
And
course.
when there wasn't chaos, I would create.
Great.
Yeah. It was like, oh, this seems too normal. Let's mix it
Of
up.
course.
So now it's interesting because now I'm at a place where I can sit for 3 hours in meditation and do my mantra. And before I couldn't even sit here still with you before.
What is the mantra that you chant? Are they different mantras?
I say one specific mantra, which is the Maha Mantra, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And the reason that I say that mantra, and even when I teach japa meditation to my students, I always say, you can say, whichever mantra you want. You can sit here and say, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe, I am safe, and that would work. But I've been reading in my studies in the past 5-6 years, I've been reading the Vedic scriptures. And in the scriptures, it says that of all the mantras, that is the greatest one. And that is like the sure shot one. It's basically all of the mantras in one mantra. So to me, logically, I was like, all right, well, if this is the fastest, if this is the fastest way to get there, then, I'll go on the express lane.
Easy.
And it's been very fruitful for me, and it's allowed me to develop this relationship with God that I never had, and allowed me to develop this faith where it's like, I know that no matter what happens, I am okay.
Being taken care of.
And that's a very peaceful place to be.
Oh my gosh, totally. Yeah. I know that feeling. It's amazing when to get there.
Yeah.
What is the mantra? That's the Maha Mantra mean, actually.
So the Maha Mantra, it's basically, it's a love song, which is really beautiful if you think
By the way, Whitney has an amazing voice too. Makes me cry when she sings in Shavasana. It's beautiful.
That's so funny because I still don't think I have a good voice, but
oh my God.
Thank you. But I didn't have the guts or the opening in my throat chakra until I started chanting the mantra. And the more I chanted the mantra, the more it opened up my throat.
I mean, beautiful.
And I also think it comes from a place of this profound gratitude that I have for this mantra. Yeah. So it's this love is coming out of me when I sing it. And I think that has a lot to do with it. But in essence, it represents the masculine and the feminine, which we, have in our bodies all the time. We all have masculine and feminine attributes. So Hare is the feminine and then Krishna is the masculine. So they come together and they come apart, and they come together and they come apart. And it basically is the balance that we're looking for, not only within ourselves, but in the universe as a whole. So it's a pretty beautiful mantra, and the more that I say it, the more meaning that it takes on, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I love when you sing it. You usually sing that at the end of class.
The end of yeah. And I sing it at the end because I'm too scared to sing it at the beginning when everyone's looking at me.
Oh, that's when we're like, and lay on your back.
Yeah, everyone eyes closed, Shavasana, and then I'll sing.
I get it. That makes sense, though. That's amazing. I think it's very helpful for people to listen and to hear that there are other, I don't want to call them replacements, but there are because I do feel like addicts are some of the most sensitive people.
100%.
And I think we're some of the most spiritual people. And I think we use substances and addictions in a lot of ways to reach God.
Absolutely.
I know I did.
Yeah.
And the whole and the soul that's
Mhm.
talked about, always kind of ring true for me, because once I wasn't dumping shit in there, and
Yep.
which is really just denying
Yeah.
my own soul, like from expanding,
Right.
right? Then, that light comes through, or you're ready to, you're kind of in a place to hear it. And I remember the kind of the same thing. It was like, once that went off, then it was like yoga came in, and it was spirituality, and
Well,
all of I was reading all the
it's
texts.
interesting because it's always like you hear all the time, like when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I was never ready. And then all of a sudden, I guess I was ready. And then it was like, boom, it's all going to happen really fast. Which it's funny because my family had never sat me down and told me that I was drinking too much or doing too much cocaine.
Really?
But as soon as I started diving really deep into yoga, they had an intervention to tell me that I was doing too much yoga. And I was
Wait,
like,
you're kidding.
And I was like, are you guys kidding me? Like, I was like, what? And it's so funny.
Wait, is that true?
I swear to you. I swear to you that it was like, Nikki, we have to, are you okay? And I was like, are you guys okay?
I mean, that seems so confusing. Like, how was that for you? Like, what did
it was like an out of body experience. Like, I was like, and for a while, honestly, when I dove deep into yoga, it created a little bit of a rift with my family because my family partied. So that I didn't party, and then it was like, and then I wanted so badly to save everyone. I was like, everyone follow me. I found it. I found the fix. No one take another sip of alcohol. Yeah. They were all like, are you okay? Like, you're in a cult. Me? And I was like, I was like, listen, if this is a cult, I'm happy to be part of it.
It's hard. It's hard when we make changes in our lives, and people, it kind of freaks people out because it kind of forces them to look at their stuff.
Absolutely.
Right? Do you agree with that?
And change is just, it's uncomfortable. Even if change is good, if it's not good, it's just uncomfortable. Even it's like if you're moving, you could be moving to a better place, and packing up your shit is still uncomfortable.
Yeah, you have no idea what to relate to.
Exactly. And I felt it's interesting. I speak with my students about this, that when I was first getting sober, it got really scary really fast because I'd never felt anything before. I had been like drinking and numbing and whatevering all of my feelings away. So all of a sudden it was like all of it at once, and that was overwhelming.
That is very overwhelming.
It was overwhelming, and it was hard, but thankfully God placed the right people around me, and I was able to navigate that. And now I feel like it's my calling to do that for other people because I felt so alone. Yeah, I felt so alone for so long. And that's why I'm so open. Like, even before we started filming, you were like, is there anything off limits? And I was like, nothing. I like, ask me whatever you want.
It feels good to be that way, right?
I feel like I lived a lie for so long that I have an aversion to it now. So like,
shame.
Whenever there's like fakeness or bullshit, like I'm just like, my whole body can feel it.
Yeah.
And I also feel like if I survived all that suffering, the only way to make it worthwhile is to talk about it so that it maybe helps someone else.
Because we're not the only one. It's like that's another thing. We always think we're the only one, and it's such a big, we make such a big deal out of things.
And this life is laced with suffering. It's pretty much a guarantee that we will suffer all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, we live in a world where everyone's like, everything is perfect and my life is great and I have this and you don't have it. And it's like, you know what? I'd rather be the girl on the internet being like, guys, I'm having a horrible fucking day. Let's talk about it.
And you're very authentic on your Instagram too. I try to be as well.
Yeah,
but I'm not. I think we're just seeing highlights, for the most part, and you can lose some of that as being like inspiring and whatnot, but this is not the whole of a person. So I really always appreciated that.
To me, it's more like people tell me I'm inspiring all the time, and it's not the easiest thing to hear.
Yes.
But it's like, if me being raw and open and honest inspires you, then that makes me happy.
But because I think it gives them permission.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's why maybe that's what it's like. They could feel like, okay, well, they can do that because they see themselves in you,
I just feel like if we're going to share all the cool stuff that happens in our life, which is also worth celebrating and worth sharing, then I also think that we have a responsibility and a duty to share when it's not so great.
I completely agree, girl.
The truth is the truth.
100%. I think, and that's why, again, I wanted to do this podcast and focus my career on this kind of topic, because I think people, again, don't see themselves a lot, and
Yeah.
especially the role models and the models that are going out. I mean, sure, there's reality television where you can see people lose
Yeah.
their shit, but I think when I started to hear the language, or well, the spirituality was one thing, but like the language around self-worth and language around feelings and thoughts, which I think you
Mhm.
give your students when you
Yeah.
teach, it's like, oh yeah, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That to me is worth everything. Is like if I can help one person
Yeah, just
relate,
one. Just one.
and
Yeah.
feel like they're not alone,
Yeah.
and
And
it's not fun up here.
it's
It's
not,
time.
first of all, it's not fun to be in the chaos of your mind alone. And it's also, I mean, I guess since I experienced it, I can remember when I didn't know that there was a way out.
Mhm.
So to me,
Yeah.
if I can scream off the mountaintops that there's a way out and at least give you a glimmer of
Yeah.
hope that your life doesn't have to be this
Sure.
like hellhole of darkness, that to me makes it worthwhile, you know?
I couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. So I have a question for you, since this
Yeah.
podcast is about self-worth. How would you define self-worth? Like, how does Nikki define
I would
her?
say that self-worth is just like knowing, not even knowing who you are because that changes every day, but knowing that you add value. Like understanding that you are here on this planet, in this moment, in this body for a reason. Like no one's here for no reason.
I agree.
And it's very easy to get caught up in like the victim mentality or listing the things that you don't have. But the reality is that we all bring something to the table, and you'll never be able to figure out what you bring to the table if you don't really see the truth. And you can't see the truth if you're drinking it and numbing it and sleeping with people and doing whatever you're doing to mask it, then you'll never really like see your true potential. So to me, that's like what's so worth finding.
Totally.
You
Oh,
know?
I love that. Worth
Yeah.
finding. Ooh, I just got goosebumps. That was a good one. I try to ask my guests that question, but I love that, worth finding. It's
Yeah, it's
so
worth
true.
looking
Well,
for.
you're worth finding,
Yeah,
right?
we all are. Every single one of us is.
What did your self-worth look like as a little girl? Like, I
Well,
know
that's
you had
interesting.
some stories,
Yeah,
but
it was very much I'm like the poster child for daddy issues.
well,
So
I think it still starts so
yeah,
early, so
it
that's
starts
why I
so
think it's
early.
also important to talk about that.
So my real father divorced my mom when I was 6 years old. And there was infidelity and I knew about it. And it was this whole thing that I, like a little 6-year-old, was in this adult mix of issues happening.
Yeah.
And my father left, and I always just like, I thought he was like the coolest guy. And now people tell me that we're very similar. So I'm cool, he's cool. And I just always like wanted him to love me. And I'm sure he does love me in his own way, but he didn't love me in the way that I thought it was supposed to look. So I've spent my entire life seeking that validation, not only from him, but from men that I've dated and relationships and friendships. And, it's just like,
Was there abandonment on that?
there's
I would say,
definitely
okay.
abandonment, and I still struggle with it till this day. You know what I mean? Like I have this thing where like the one thing that'll really drive me crazy is if you ignore me. Like don't ignore me. Like just
Same.
give me like
It's
I'm
like
busy.
the
I'll
world
talk to you
is
in 3 months.
ending.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I cannot
My whole,
function.
me neither.
It's
Same.
insane to me, and I know now that it's not because whoever is not answering my text message. It's because when I was 6 years old, my dad left, so I'm able, thankfully, to like zoom out and at least study it. But that doesn't mean that things don't hit our
No.
roots, and that things don't trigger us. But I think that's the path. That's the
Absolutely.
yogic practice, is to see it and to observe it and to be able to track it to its root. And just like love the 6-year-old version of me that was
100%.
abandoned.
Then and be that like reparent to her,
Yeah.
Yeah,
for
like,
sure.
because also like as horrible as that is, and I think a father's role in a daughter woman's life, really says so much,
It's
does so
so
much.
important.
Look, I had a present father. I still made shitty choices in
Well, yeah,
relationships.
100%. I have friends that have,
But-
parents are like in love and
Yeah.
still together, and they're
Right, but and
abandoned.
I still have abandonment issues my whole way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I just think, it's no matter what, like I've learned, I feel like they had what they had at the time.
The best
The skills that
they had. Yeah.
But what the fuck, we didn't know that.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
But the grace I've been able to give my parents or others, right, for being like, oh, you were human.
Same.
And I think it's our responsibility, which I think you do so beautifully, not even knowing that story, is like that might have happened,
Yeah.
but it's still my responsibility to show up and not make that
It's
my life.
interesting that you say that because sometimes people will be like, oh, but this and but that and but this. And I'm like, listen, we can sit
We can do
here
it.
and list the
Yep.
shit forever and ever and ever. That doesn't give you an excuse to be a horrible person. It doesn't.
No.
If anything, if you flip it, you now have the most solid foundation to heal from. So to me, it's beautiful, and I thank God every day and every night that all of the horrible experiences that I've had have happened to me.
Wow.
Because I can now be who I am in this moment, and I wouldn't be had those things not happened.
Totally.
You know, so I think it's about acceptance, and it has a lot to do with gratitude. But we also have to accept our responsibility in these human bodies to move through life in a way that is not creating chaos
That is
for yourself or anyone else.
Oh my God. I think I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to talk about acceptance. Actually, I think it's such a powerful choice.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't sometimes that eventually I'm going to do a podcast about forgiveness. So that's a whole other thing.
Oh, I was
It's
thinking
just-
about that on the
Yeah, it's just a whole other thing. And I
Yeah,
don't even know
it's
how I feel
liberating.
about it. It is, but it's like, do I have to, you know, and all that.
I don't think you have to, but I think you have to forgive yourself for how you acted.
Well, I think acceptance comes first.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think I can step into acceptance, right? But I think like how has acceptance kind of worked? As I mean, you hear a lot about acceptance, especially when people are sober. That's
Yeah.
part of the serenity prayer and things like that. You know, if you go down that road. But I to me, it's been a powerful choice knowing that I can't change the past. I can't predict the future. I can accept what has happened. I can accept the person as they are in front of me or not.
Or not. I mean, you don't have to accept it, but to me, it's like you cause yourself more suffering when you refuse to accept reality. Reality is reality. It's already happened. You can't shift it. You can't bend it. You can't manipulate it. So to me, after, you know, learning everything that I've learned, and I still don't know anything and have so much to learn, but we are living out our karmas, and you can create better karma for yourself. You can create bad karma, but there's your karma is your karma. And I really do believe that not a single thing happens on this planet that is not divinely orchestrated, good, bad, ugly, or, you know. So to me, it's like the faster you accept it, the faster you can move forward with it. Because if not,
You're
I remember
carrying it around.
I had a therapist who told me, she's like, Nikki, I'm going to tell you something and it's going to blow your mind. She said, your emotions have a 90-second lifespan. 90 seconds.
Bounce right back.
And she's like, so if you were to actually feel the discomfort,
You know,
for 90 seconds, it would move through you. She's like, but we don't do that.
they're so afraid.
We get it and we want to hold on to it and we want to save it for later and we want to blame it on other people and we want to feel like a victim and we want to name it, we want to feed it, we want to cuddle it, we want to sleep with it. And then she's like, and now it's 50 years later and you're still stuck on what could have been 90 seconds. So when she said that to me, I was like, okay. So something that I'm always telling myself is I'm always like, sit with it. Just sit with it. Like, even if it is the darkest, most horrible feeling, I will force myself to sit with it. I'm a very big fan of like sobbing, crying by myself.
me
I think
too.
it's the most liberating thing you could ever do.
That's
I'll also cry in public.
for me.
Yeah, I'll also cry in public, no problem. But I think once you learn to sit with it, then you can move through it and then you can put it down, because we love to be hoarders. We're not supposed to be hoarders.
We do. It's kind of like I think there's a lot of like self-punishment in it, right? Especially with like, again, going back to like addiction or things like that. I always said like I hurt myself. I hurt a lot of people.
Same.
And so the shame in that. So it's like acceptance, like that happened. And then also, when when it comes to others, but I just think, it can be self-punishment. And then it can be a way that by not accepting that we assume some sort of power that we control.
And even just being honest with yourself. I remember it took me a while to be able to say like, I'm an addict or I'm in recovery, or that was like, because it was like admitting that I had this secret life and that I had been
didn't have it all together.
And it was, and then now I'm like, you know what? Like, it's liberating to be like, I'm an addict. And the reality of it is that every time I'm in a room and I say I'm an addict, there's 50 other people in the room that are also addicts. So it's not like I'm the only one in
But
town.
there's that thing giving permission again.
Exactly.
Or they'll be like,
but no one else will say it until someone has the balls to say it.
True.
And if I have to be the one to have the balls to say it, then so be it.
I think you would be the one to have the balls to say it. No, I think acceptance, and it reminds me, I think a lot of like the spiritual texts and things to talk about it. For me, like acceptance is also present moment.
100%.
Right. And I think for me, you know, what yoga has given me, and particularly that practice, is presence.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know if I'm undiagnosed ADHD or just I you know, hyper warrior or whatever. I'm always into the next thing. It grounds me, and it does pull me into the present moment where it's like, well, my breath and my body can only be here. My mind is the one that travels, right, back and forth and whatnot. Yeah. How do you feel your practice and the meditation support you with acceptance?
I mean, it's been life-saving, honestly. It's saved my life, because I remember before I would get so manic that I couldn't function. I couldn't think. I would have anxiety attacks. Like, it was just like this constant state of fear and chaos, and just like, I just remember it being so loud. I would tell my mom, it would be like, it sounds like Grand Central Station in my head. Like, that's what I would say to her. And she didn't understand. You know,
did you have a hard time like doing things in order?
I couldn't do anything. Yeah. I mean, it got to the point where it was affecting my career. It was affecting everything. And I was always really good at like pretending that I was fine. Yeah. So there's hundreds of people that are like, you were an addict?
Of course.
You were an addict? And I'm like, dude, I was so coked up the last time you saw me. It's like, come on. But I was an actress, you know? And then to carry that lie made everything even worse, you know? So to me, to be present, I remember when I first started doing yoga, I couldn't even like, I would walk out and like forward fold. Like, I would be like, okay, I'm done. And they'd be like, no, stay in, like, keep your head down. And I was the fastest one to go. Well, I would stand up and be like, you know, in the room. And it's because I couldn't like bear just like sitting with myself in that moment. But it's a practice. And the more that you do it, the better that you get at it.
Yeah, and it's the same thing of like, so you were mentioning earlier, just like allowing that thing to move through you. Why do you think we're so afraid of feeling that thing?
Well, I think it sucks. It sucks. It does. It sucks to feel heartache. It sucks to feel insecurity. It sucks to feel judged. It sucks to feel like you don't belong. Yeah. Those are all feelings that are not good, but who told us that we were here to feel good? So when I had that click, you know, it's like, I'm not here to always feel like I'm on vacation and I'm at the beach and life is fucking perfect. I am here to heal. I came here, like, I really do believe that at some point my soul made a decision to get in this body with this family in this city and come here. Yeah. And now that I'm in it, I'm going to complain about it the whole time? No. Like, you have to accept it and you have to move through it. And I really do think that it's our responsibility, our only responsibility, is to learn to transcend our mind. Because if we don't learn to transcend our mind, then our mind will wreak havoc on any situation. Yeah. So to me, it's like, that's why I feel so like moved to be a teacher, because if I can just get one person to understand that, then I helped not only that one person, but everyone in that person. I feel
the same way. It's like a trap, you know, we really do get trapped, and it's not supposed to, our ego is supposed to be our servant, you know, our trusted servant.
And other people aren't supposed to make us feel good. And we look outside of ourselves so much. I mean, I still do it. I'm still guilty of it. You know, I'm guilty of it all the time. But at least I catch myself and I'm like, hey, you know what? That's not going to make you feel any better. Like,
point.
Yeah, that's not the point. And at the end of the day, the relationships that we have in this life, they're all beautiful and they all add to our growth. But really, they're happening for us to grow.
Ooh.
It's like,
sorry, people, but that is the fucking truth. No, it is. It's so funny that you just touched on that, because I agree about relationships, but I think in my experience, and I want you to tell me yours, but I think loneliness is the gateway drug of all drugs. It's I think it's intense, and I've known more people here in Miami that have expressed how lonely they are.
Tell me all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've experienced it
Yeah.
here, like
I
being in a
have
busy,
also.
busy city, but feeling alone. And usually that's not my case. Like I like to be in the city and like even if I'm staying in or whatever, but there is that deep sense of, and I feel like that can be really triggering for people.
I think so too, and I think it's sort of, it doesn't make sense so much, but it's very easy to feel alone in a room full of people, and it's very easy to feel like you don't fit in or feel like, and this is something that's happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting now, like my yoga and my career have sort of blended, but for a while it was very separate. So for a while, when I was transitioning into this yogic life, I felt very alone in the real estate world because I was like, these people don't get me and I don't get them. And there was like a disconnect.
Yep.
And that disconnect was there until I decided to be myself. And I decided to walk into the room as the yogi that also sells yoga, that's also a little crazy from Miami and is going to say something ridiculous. And as soon as I stepped into that, then it was like, oh, so sometimes we create that. Like you create that block because you're not being yourself.
Oh, I love that.
So to me, it's like, if you're going to do anything, it's be yourself. And don't worry about how it hits because you're not here to appease anybody. You're here to be yourself. That's the whole point.
And also, I think back to that idea of like we're being lonely also probably has something to do with like assuming that people are supposed to make us feel better, right? And like,
assuming that everyone's supposed to like you.
Like
that's something I struggle with. I want people to
want you, pick you, choose you, to go out, but you can also do things by yourself.
I love doing. I'm like,
same.
I am so addicted to being alone. It's like my favorite thing.
You're doing it.
I love it. Yeah. I just like, I've set up like my sanctuary in my house where I can like color, or I can paint, or I can sing, or I can meditate, or I can read, or I can like journal, whatever it is.
You like your company.
Yeah, I love my company now, which is so crazy because I used to be horrified to be alone.
Yeah, I also just like I'm very extroverted too, so I really love being around people. Yeah. But it's like I think there's also something about like choosing your alone time, being able to choose it,
I think it's
also
important.
not. But it's interesting. I think loneliness can be a real trigger, but I think it is a signal of a deeper disconnect,
I think so too. And because there's a very big difference between being lonely and being alone.
Yes.
Like a huge difference, And I think loneliness stems from wanting outside validation. And that's normal. It's a normal human experience to want outside validation. Yeah. But I also think that...
Or to want to connect.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, human connection is super important. Of course.
Otherwise we die. Yeah.
Correct. But I think that it's interesting because for me, for so long, connection meant like with a partner, like it had to be like a sexual thing. And now it's like I have so many friends that fill my cup and that make me feel so happy and love me. Like some of the greatest,
like no guy might.
Yeah, like the greatest loves of my life, I swear to you, are my girlfriends. Like it was just my 40th birthday, and these girls like, thank you.
It's your 40th?
Yeah.
Welcome to your 40s, girl.
The fourth floor. We're looking really good on this.
The best
floor.
The best years.
And it's just like to let your friends love you is so sweet and has been so like nourishing for my soul, honestly. And I never really had that before. I never like let people in like that.
I love it.
And it's like,
listen, you met Comfort. We always talk about, we're like, that's all. I'm like, that's what we got. I mean, I have a great group of friends too, but her and I are like, we always say life partners. The good, the bad, the ugly, the non-judgment. It's like,
you can really be like open.
Yes.
And you can really be yourself.
All the parts.
And you can be on the ground crying and then hysterically laughing in 5 seconds. And it's like the most liberating thing to be that out of your mind.
It really
which is the whole point.
It's
to get out of your mind.
Yes, exactly.
Out of your mind. Be out of your mind. I encourage craziness.
And make friends. I think the friendships, if you're out there and you're lonely, which I know a lot of people are, and that's why I like
come to my yoga class.
Yeah.
Like people tell me all the time, where do I meet people? Like, and I'm like, honestly, come to class.
Ahana's great for that.
Come to class. Like there's so many like-minded, really cool people doing really cool things.
Very much.
Very, very cool things. I've met clients, like real estate clients. I've met like it's such a cool, and the wellness community in Miami right now is so exciting.
Huge.
I'm so happy to be a part of it,
Same,
honestly.
same. And
It's
it's so
like
many networks and groups and
it's incredible, and
events
it's
and
really cool because also from the real estate and the development side of Miami, I see that the developers are like, "Hey, what's that?
uh-huh.
We want in on that," like, and
Uh-huh.
that this building that I'm selling, HQ,
Yeah.
is completely based in wellness and in community and in connection. And that to me is really cool that the city's sort of going in that
Oh, I think
direction.
that's
Yeah,
genius. And I think we were voted like the number two wellness city in the
we are.
world or something. Yeah.
We are, which is pretty cool.
I love it.
I
I
love
know.
it
I
too.
think it's
It's
awesome.
cool for me because since I've lived here my whole life, Miami was never like wellness and Miami were never in the same sentence for me.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
Yeah, I
I've
guess
seen
not
it
for when it
like
was coming down either.
no, I've seen it go from like Vice City cocaine cowboys
Okay, but literally.
to wellness, and it's really cool to see the juxtaposition of the two things happening at the same time.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite things about living here is just walking everywhere.
Yeah.
I live on the beach here,
Yeah.
so just walking I mean, my car is like two buildings down
Yeah.
and I'm like,
Well, I mean, I walk I live in Edgewater. I walk to Ahana. I walk to
Do you
Whitfield.
really?
I walk
Yeah.
everywhere. I love walking. To me,
it's the
it's like,
best. Everybody's
it's so
walking.
good. Also, it's also like a meditation to walk.
I agree. It's like, again, when my mind actually just
Yeah.
is present.
And I try to do it like just I call it raw dog walking. So it's like
Of
no
course you do.
no podcast, no
podcast.
music, no like phone is
Walking
away,
meditation.
no anything, and listening to like the sound of the city and like just like
Yeah.
hearing everything is such a trippy experience. I love it.
Yeah.
My raw
Okay.
dog walks.
I know. I will say I don't like that.
It's okay. We don't
I
have to,
love
like,
walking, but I know exactly. But I've tried it, but I'm like, because I love meditation.
Yeah.
I love to sit in meditation as well. But the walking, there's something about me in a podcast.
Yeah.
In my
I do
ears.
podcasts while I drive. I drive a lot, so my
I love
podcast
when
is
I
like
drive
driving.
too,
Yeah.
or music, that too. So you have this great new gig. How does it feel to be in alignment now? It seems like you're
God,
it sounds like you were saying really like your passion and your purpose are meeting kind of.
It's so cool to see them collide because
Yeah.
for so long it was like I was Nicole the realtor and then I became Nikki the yogi and they were kept very separate.
Yeah.
And I remember for a while I would like hide my stories from people that I worked with.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, I don't want them to see me like half naked upside down. And there was this whole like
Interesting.
disconnect. And then this current building that I'm selling, part of the reason why I get hired is because of my yogi lifestyle and the way that I walk through life and the way that I'm so authentic and open and honest.
Yeah.
So it added value, and now it's something that gives me a little bit of like an upper hand, and it allows me to sell something from a place of like knowing and embodying. So I do feel very aligned, and I'm so, so grateful. I mean, I would say that right now in my life, I'm at like the brink of gratitude that I've ever been at. And it doesn't mean that everything's perfect.
No.
I feel so like settled in who I am and what I bring to the table in every situation. And it's all like blending, and I'm just so happy about it.
That's your 40s, baby.
Yeah.
It all starts
Yeah.
making sense.
It all starts, it's so crazy how long it takes, but here we are.
It
And
does. What's the famous quote? It's like a life is just preparation until you're 40.
I believe it.
I believe and then you're like, oh, I can live my life now as myself.
And now it's like I give zero fucks.
Less fucks.
I have none to give.
Great.
And it's just like I really have put to the test this being authentic thing. And it works every time for me.
Yeah.
It's worked
I feel
every
like you
time.
can't lose.
It's gotten me out of the rooms I don't need to be in, and it's put me in the rooms that I need to be in. Same thing with relationships, same thing with friendships. So to me, the way that I see it is if you want to live the best possible like experience of your life, you have to be yourself, because if you're not being yourself, then you're not attracting what you're supposed to attract.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
And you're missing what's meant for you.
You're blocking your
blocking
blessings, really. So to me, it's like, be a weirdo. Let your free
People,
flag fly.
Do not block your blessings.
Don't block your blessings. It's like, come on,
I love
and this
that.
whole thing, like, I see it. Like, I have friends that are like dating and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really do this dating.
No, me
I'm
neither.
single, but I'm like,
I don't actively date.
You'll have to knock on my balcony on Universe on the 33rd floor. You'll have to come up there somehow, because I'm not really actively dating, nor do I want to be on a dating app
all the time.
But I do have girlfriends that are like in this scene. And it's just like, I mean, the amount of effort that goes into trying to be someone's dream girl is nauseating.
Yeah, the talking. I know.
It's just like, listen, I curse. I say like ridiculous things, like take it or leave it. This is the
Yep.
way that it comes. And I feel like my person will find me. And
They
if they don't,
will.
it's okay because I'm in love with myself. So it's like,
I love that. I love that you can say that
yeah.
so truly because again, I think a lot of people are, are struggling out there
I
again, and
struggled for so long. I
we
couldn't
all
stand myself
do.
for so long.
Yeah,
Sometimes I
exactly.
still can't, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think there's the part of our worth is also being able to say I love you to my
Yeah.
yourself and to accept again, go back to acceptance, all of the parts of ourselves that have gotten us
Yeah.
there's so many
The
different
thing
parts
is that
doing so many different jobs,
you can't like speaking of acceptance, you cannot accept just a little piece. You got to accept the whole thing.
Mm,
You know what I mean? So
yeah.
you have to accept like your quirks and your shadows and the things that are like obnoxious about you. Like there's a million things about myself that I don't love, but that doesn't mean that I don't accept them and that I can't have compassion and empathy for myself when I'm being a little frat, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's normal.
Yes, and I think the compassion empathy is so
That's another thing that yoga
reflected back.
really taught me.
Mhm.
It really taught me because I started to realize that if I was suffering this much, then it meant that the girl next to me in class was suffering this much. And then it made me not want to be an asshole to her. It made me want to be kind. It genuinely has created this like innate desire to be kind and open and welcoming and loving to everyone because I know that I walk through life sometimes pretending that everything's fine and I'm having a horrible day. So if that's happening for me, then it has to be happening for someone else.
Absolutely.
And I think that if we would just be a little nicer.
I agree. So, well, with that, like compassion, empathy, like in all this beautiful work and healing you've done, what do you think you could, if you could go back and talk to your little like 6-year-old
Yeah.
self or the girl that was struggling with her dad, what would you say to her?
I would just tell her that her worth is not attached to anyone else's validation. That, you know, because I remember my dad would say, like, I'm going to pick you up at 6, and then he would never show up. So then I would think that it's because there was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
And now I know very clearly that it's not that something was wrong with me. He had too many beers with his friends and he got caught up and forgot, you know? So to me, it's like, it's very important. And I say this to anybody that will listen, that we really, really learn to accept the fact that like we have to love ourselves. Like it's an inside game. And in turn, when you learn to love yourself, then you teach people how to love you. So it's like this trickle effect that happens. But I would definitely want like little Nikki to know that it wasn't her. You know, that you're not the problem of why people treat you the way they treat you, that people are treating you from their level of understanding and their ability to give and their emotional availability. And that's something that, you know, it comes up in relationships and it comes up in friendships, you know, like people can only meet you where they are at.
And we don't
And
get
that
that.
has everything to do with them and nothing to do with you.
Totally. And we do not get that at all in our adolescence.
No one taught me
obviously.
that. No.
No, that was some of the most powerful insights I had, you know, getting into my late 30s, doing a lot of the work in therapy. And it was so liberating.
Yeah.
Talk about acceptance too, right? So it's like, I was just like, oh, right. You know, you have your own, you're coming from all of these different wounds that I'm coming from. Your needs are different than mine. And I think there's a book. My mom was, I think my mom got it for our whole family. It was like,
I love that.
like learn who you're in relationship with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're all just so different. And I think we go through life expecting a lot from each other. And our partners and everything too, to be exactly like we are.
Yeah. And it's interesting because now I've gained a lot of friendships through yoga, and those friendships are with people that are from completely different walks of life, completely different cultures, completely different like religions and way of thinking. And at the end of the day, the wounds are still the same. And the insecurity is still the same, and the hurt and the feeling of loneliness and the feeling of abandonment. We all carry that. So it was interesting to me to realize that like the running thread between all of us is suffering. And if we can see, like if I can see my suffering in you and you can see your suffering in me, then that already automatically puts us on the same wavelength.
It's so interesting.
And then I really think that, like, I really like to think that everybody is good. That everybody is good, and that because of conditioning and environment and society and whatever, we may stray from that, but that comes from pain. You know, like hurt people the same way that healed people can help heal people.
100%.
You
I
know?
think that same thing with worthiness. I think you're born worthy. I do. I think we're born
100%.
good, and
Yes.
it gets
It's
fractured and
not a way.
tainted.
It's not a way,
Mhm.
you know, but I really think that it's our responsibility to go back, to always go back. I'm always like, go in, take it in. It's not outside. Go
Me
back in.
too.
I'm always
It's
like,
one of the biggest skills I think I've learned is that anytime something is wrong for me, or any sort of whether it's heartbreak I'm
yeah,
going through, or betrayal, or whatever it is, it's like I go inside
yeah.
first. I know where the answers are,
It's
and I'm the
interesting. I
only
used to
one.
always run. Like I feel like as
Or
a girl,
blame,
as a
right?
girl, it's always like, I need to talk to somebody. Like, who do I talk to about this? And then it's like you and someone else that has no idea what the fuck
I know what they're talking about.
trying to
Or
figure
blame,
it
right? Or they're
out.
the problem. You talk shit, right?
Oh,
About.
and it's just like when I went to India, someone in India told me that if I wanted to be happy, I had to take the cancers out of my mind. And I was like, what are the cancers of the mind? And he said, you have to stop complaining. You have to stop comparing, and you must stop criticizing. And he was like, those three C's. If you watch yourself and you observe yourself and you make it a point to remove as much of that as possible,
Yeah.
you will experience joy. And ever since, I heard this, now I catch myself. It doesn't mean that I don't complain and that I don't compare and that I don't criticize, but now I'm aware of it.
Awareness.
Now I'm aware of it. And I'm like, oh, you're complaining? You're just going to make it worse. I'm like, okay, cute. You want to make it worse, So I think it's important to sort of, not do that. And especially, I mean, like as women in Miami, it's like, it's very gossipy and it's very judgy and
Can be, yeah.
And I really do my best to not be part of it, because I think we have a choice in this life, and it's like you can be part of the problem or you can be part of the solution. And I will die trying to be part of the solution because I don't think we need any more fuel in the fire of chaos,
No. And the energy is just so, I
It's
can't
just
vibrate that.
you.
I can't go down a certain way,
It's not good for you, and you can feel it. I mean, you can feel it when you you have like a little shit talking session. You don't feel that great after.
No, and I always say like, look, you're the common denominator. So
Exactly.
it's like, and also like when it comes down to going within and being introspective, it's like I think it's powerful because I'm the only one that can change.
Yeah.
I can only change myself.
And
even if that's my
passion, it's like now like someone will cut me off, and instead of like holding down my horn and flicking them off like I used to, I'm just like, you know what? Maybe she's in a hurry.
Or maybe somebody's dying. Yeah.
Maybe, like, who knows, but I stop making it about you. Like everyone is moving through life because they're going through their own shit, everyone's pretty self-absorbed at the end of the day. It's very
we're all thinking that everybody,
and it's like,
and we're all thinking literally the same thing, that it's like, if somebody's looking at us, somebody's judging us, and we're all just judging ourselves.
Exactly. It's all really psychosis of the mind.
Crazy. I know, it really is.
But yoga has really, really helped me to tap into my compassion and my empathy and just my desire. This is a double-edged sword for me, that I have this desire to help, like so bad to the point where sometimes it's like not a good idea, but I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. And my therapist is like, stop bringing your projects home. She's like,
staking in strays.
She's like, you better keep it in the yoga studio, so
staking in strays is
I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best, but it is something that I struggle with, because if I see you suffering, I want to help you. And some people don't want help.
Well, I also think that there's such thing as letting somebody get to the point where they have to help themselves.
They have to.
Right? And you can love and support.
Couldn't help me. I mean, that was impossible, So it's interesting. It's like it's a fine line between wanting to give and wanting to help. And I think the way that I've found balance is by just making a decision to be open and honest about what I'm going through. And then if that calls for someone to come to me and ask for help, then 1000% I'll give it. But I'm trying not to do unsolicited.
Well, it's boundaries too. You have to protect your
100%, because at the end of the day, it's draining. It's draining to give, and you can't give from an empty cup, which is why I think it's so important for all of us to have like a spiritual, even if spiritual is like a word that's uncomfortable, like a gratitude practice, like
practice
just taking a
is,
second every day
yeah.
and just being grateful.
Well, getting out of yourself. And
Yeah.
100%.
I think it's super important.
Well, I was just going to ask you gratitude's a great thing, but what's one of your favorite takeaways from yoga philosophy that sticks with you?
My favorite takeaway from yoga philosophy is that we are not these bodies. I think that's like a big one, because once you realize that this is a vessel that you've been given to grow and expand and evolve, then you can stop like worrying so much about, because honestly, I used to be, it's like, it's all consuming. And that doesn't mean, it doesn't mean not to take care of your body. Because I've had this debate with people who are like, I'm not this body, so I'm just going to eat McDonald's all day because I'm not this body. And then it's like, yeah, but you're in it. So that's
it's your vehicle.
Like, I don't want to have a shitty car. I don't want my car to smell bad. I don't want my car to like have a bunch of.
We're not of it, but we're living in it. Yeah.
Exactly. We're in it. So I think it's very important to take care of it. I think movement is the healer. And sometimes people will be like, well, yoga's not for me. And I'm like, I don't agree with you, but get up and go for a walk. Yeah, like
I agree. Movement's medicine. Move. That's what I say.
Just move. Like move it or lose it. You gotta move it. So to me, it's like, and the more that you move your body, the more that you realize that even while you're moving your body, this thing is doing what it's doing. So you can detach from these things, and you can then start to realize that you really are a spiritual being having a human experience in this really cool meat suit.
Yeah, it's totally true. Yeah. Well, this has been an amazing conversation.
I
was like, you're obviously coming back. We'll talk about forgiveness some other time. Do a whole other thing. Last question is, what is your superpower, you think?
That's so interesting. I was having this conversation the other day. I think that my superpower is that I am able to make other people feel welcome and make other people feel comfortable. And I think that comes from me not always feeling welcome and not always feeling comfortable. So since I always felt uncomfortable and like out of place, it's very important to me when you're around me for you to feel like comfortable and like you belong. So I think that's
a great superpower.
One of my God-given talents.
Definitely. Do you have any other like favorite, do you have a motto or like a favorite quote or anything that you kind of swear by, or maybe at this point in your life right now?
Well, Ram Dass said, and I'll probably misquote it, but you guys can look it up. He says that the only thing I can do for you is work on myself, and the only thing you can do for me is work on yourself. And I think that that's really important in friendships and relationships and business and any sort of interaction with another being. I think that's because we always want to tell people what to do or try to change people or and it's like, no, like if I do my best to be the best version of me, that's me loving you and doing you a favor. And if you in turn do the same thing, then we can have a really beautiful exchange.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a fave.
I love that one. Well, thank you so much for being here. First, before we go, just tell our audience where they can find you.
For sure. So my Instagram handle is at Nikki_rocks. It's NIKKIE_ROX.
Put it in the notes too.
Yeah. Put it in the notes. And then, of course, if anybody's interested in anything news development, real estate in Edgewater, hit me up. We can talk about HQ. We can talk about real estate. Yeah. We can pretty much talk about everything. I'm an open book. So
and classes.
Feel free. I teach one class a week. So you gotta, I'm so busy with real estate. So I'm only teaching Saturdays at 10:30 a.m. at Ahana Yoga. And it's really, really fun. We have a really good time.
It's an hour and a half too, right?
It's 90 minutes.
Yeah, good old school. Listen, her classes are epic. They're like a giant therapy healing session. Go to listen to her sing at the end.
Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed.
Nikki, thank you so much.
Thank you, my love. I love you. Thank you for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. I love what you're doing.
Thank you so much. This was awesome. Okay, guys, thanks for watching and listening. We'll see you on the next episode. Ciao, ciao. Thanks for listening to this episode of Worthy the Podcast. Our goal is to build a community, and we do that through people like you who listen, subscribe, and most importantly, share with someone you care about. Be sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening, as well as our YouTube channel. And if this episode resonated with you, leave a review. We want to hear from you. Thanks for being here, and remember, you've always been enough. Period. This podcast is meant to inspire and educate, but I am not a licensed therapist or medical professional. Everything shared here is based on personal experience and perspective, so take what resonates and leave the rest.